what exactly goes into grading a Pokemon card?
At the end of the day, it just boils down to the four main components of every card.
Has anyone ever tried to bribe you?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Do people put money in with their submission? Hey,
Oh,
bucks.
gosh. We hear a lot about cards getting a 10 grade. Are there any secret nuances or gray areas that collectors might not realize when submitting?
So I hate to say this, but like there is way too much in what makes a card a 10 nowadays.
In your years of grading, what's the wildest card or the most surprising submission you've come across?
I could rattle off a ton of cards where I just like, oh my god, this is in my hand right now. I can't even believe it. I know I'm going to have to step away from Pokemon for this, but I grew up a baseball card collector. So seeing this come through the door, absolutely, I still can't believe I saw this come through the door and I got to grade this card. Someone walked in one day out of nowhere. Old woman comes walking into our shop and goes, I heard this card's worth some money. Can I get it graded? And it's a 1952 Topps.
This episode of Special Conditions is brought to you by our Patreon. Everything we do here on the Pokemon Professor Network is powered by our community. You can join our community of supporters on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. We offer a range of support tiers and various benefits. All patrons will gain access to our patron-exclusive Discord, which is a fantastic place filled with fantastic people. You can join on patreon.com/Pokemon Professor. With tiers as low as $1 a month, you can support a collective of hardworking, part-time creators that have a passion for Pokemon and podcasting here at the Pokemon Professor Network. What's up, Pokemon trading card game fans? Welcome to episode 185. Is this 185? Pretty sure.
Yes.
Yeah, 185 of Special Conditions, the TCG podcast where our love for competing and collecting collide. Special Conditions is part of the Pokemon Professor Network, and today is Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Tuttle, and I am joined by my co-host, as always, Justin Keller. How are you?
Great. March 11th. Does that mean we just missed Mario Day?
I think so. Yippee! It's me.
We should have done a spoof and just done a Mario-only podcast.
I don't have any mushrooms on me. Actually, I do in my car. It's like a squishmallow thing. My coworker gave me one. That's actually hilarious.
Yes.
But
is anyone listening, he's not talking about the bad mushrooms, the good mushrooms, the plushy kind.
Yes, it's just like a toy. But on today's show, we have a very, very special guest, and his name is Garrett. He's the head grader over at the Grading Authority. We'll get to know a little bit about him. But Garrett, how are you? Introduce yourself.
How you guys doing? Doing all right. Doing all right. I've been I'm the head grader for the Grading Authority, based out of Chichester, New Hampshire. I've been the head grader for just about a year now. I've been with the company just over 2 years now, and I absolutely love everything about it.
That's awesome. So, let's back up a little bit. Who is Garrett? How did you decide, you know what, I want to become a card grader? Were you into cards in the first place? Was it sports? Was it TCGs? What was it? Was it everything?
You probably it was probably Neopets, right?
No. I would say those were one of the few things not included among my hobby journey. But yeah, it's gone a little bit all over the place for me throughout. So cards have been a part of my life pretty much as far back as I can remember. My mom tells me stories all the time of my dad sitting me on the floor as a 6-week-old infant, going, all right, Garrett, this is how you sort baseball cards, and showing me how to put them in binders and all that. Literally, me being a little baby just staring off into space like, I don't know what's going on right now. And my dad's trying to teach me how to sort cards. So they've been a part of my life for my entire life. Started off with baseball and football. Once I got into elementary school, my friends got me into Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! I dropped Yu-Gi-Oh! Pretty quick because I remembered that wasn't as popular. But then, I was into Pokemon pretty much all elementary school and into middle school a little bit. Got out of it a little bit, but baseball cards were always a big part of my life throughout high school and even after high school. And then once I ended up joining the company with TGA is when I ended up rediscovering my love for Pokemon again and getting all right back into it. The story of how I ended up joining TGA and deciding like card grading, like, yep, this is what I want to do. I remember even as a 10-year-old kid having a conversation with my dad who introduced me to cards and going, how cool would it be to work for a grading company? And now here I am,
Here
a
you
decade and a
are.
half.
That's so cool.
I have so many
Yeah.
follow-up questions.
Yeah.
First question, favorite baseball team. Second question, favorite Pokemon. Go.
Favorite baseball team? Philadelphia Phillies. Diehard Philly fan. Got my Eagles display back there. I'm a diehard Eagles fan too. Go Birds. Super
Nice.
Bowl winners.
There you
My
go.
wife would love you. I, as a Chiefs fan, can't love you, but
That's all right.
Come
That's all right.
on.
We got our one back. We're split with you now. I
There
can't
we
hate
go.
you just as much as you can't hate me. So.
See, I just like the Blue
Exactly.
Jays. I just like Blue Jays, the animal. So I was like, that's my baseball team.
That's
There
a
you
fair
go.
reason. That's a fair reason. It's a fair reason. But anyway, picking up the favorite Pokemon, strange reason, but I still think it's valid. Gyarados, and that's because Gyarados was the first Pokemon that had a name moderately similar to mine because he came before Giratina.
Amazing. I never
Garrett,
would have connected
Tina?
the dots. I was like,
Garrett
did you like
dose?
the red Gyarados at the Lake of Rage from,
Well,
Gen
I mean,
2?
to be fair, Gyarados does evolve from this goofy-looking flopping fish that just does nothing but splash into this massive sea serpent behemoth. So,
Yeah.
But hey, the shiny
kind of hard to
version looks
not like that.
gorgeous, though.
Talk
So
about a glow
are
up.
you saying, are you the Magikarp or the Gyarados in this scenario? I'm kidding.
Me? Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I guess we'll see. I guess we'll find out eventually. I'm still young.
Listen, it takes a while to evolve a Magikarp. That's all I'm saying. The struggle
So-
is real.
Did you start out with the cards? Did you start out with the games? Did you start out with the anime?
So with Pokemon, I would actually say cards are probably the first thing I got into, which kind of went hand in hand with the anime.
Hmm.
I was born in 2000, so Pokemon. I wasn't like in the quite among that generation of kids that grew up with the origins and everything, but it was popular by the time I was getting into kindergarten and elementary school.
Yeah.
I remember I had a neighborhood buddy introduce me to Pokemon cards by showing me his, and I thought they were super cool because I already knew all about baseball cards. So I thought, oh, these are super cool. And then like a week later, he showed me the anime. So those two kind of went hand in hand.
Nice. I don't remember for me which one was first, but it was pretty much the same thing. Anime and cards, like right at the same time.
That sounds about right.
I think the anime led me to the cards.
See, my mom had watched the infomercials, and we got the Venusaur versus Squirtle deck. Like those were that like with the VHS of how to play. My mom was like, he would love that, and it was in Japanese, so we didn't know how to.
Oh, even better.
and then the kicker is, probably like 8 years ago, I was going through my cards and I had left them outside by accident. I don't remember how it happened, but they went outside and then like it started to rain and it ruined every one of those cards. And those are some of the most like beautiful arts on any Pokemon cards I've ever seen.
Yep.
Very disappointed.
I only
in myself.
learned about those cards a couple of years ago. I was like, as I was building my Arcanine collection, I'm like, wait, I've never seen this card before. What is this?
It's from those destroyed cards.
Oh man.
So no games?
Oh, sorry. I did get into the Pokemon games eventually. I remember my grandparents, I think it was, ended up getting me Platinum for the DS.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the first Pokemon game I ever really got into. And I ended up going back and playing some of the older ones once I got into Platinum.
See, that's wild. All right, so let's start with the basics. What exactly goes into grading a Pokemon card? Can you walk us through your process from start to finish?
Yeah. So the basics of grading a Pokemon card really isn't all that different from the basics of grading any other card. At the end of the day, it just boils down to the four main components of every card, because there's four pieces, or we call them the four components that make up every card. Those being the centering, edges, corners, and surface. Now, of course, each of these components are all weighed equally.
Are they? Are they?
On the TGA scale, they are all weighed equally. Now, there are cases where like one ends up being the determining subgrade, like the determining subgrade.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
for example, say you have a card with like perfectly centered, perfect edges, perfect corners, but has a big scratch going right down the middle of it. So the surface subgrade would end up being like a 6. Then the highest grade it could get would be a 7 on the TGA scale because you can't go higher than 1 point from your lowest subgrade on our scale.
Oh, that was going to be my next question. I was like, what determines it if it's like that? Okay.
That's the rule of thumb. Yeah, whatever the lowest subgrade is, the highest you can go is 1 point higher than that.
Wow.
Do you get many cards like that?
Yeah, from time to time, especially on a lot of the ultra modern stuff I've noticed.
Okay,
Not necessarily with Pokemon, but more with sports. I've noticed a lot of, for example, like centering will just completely destroy the grade on a card right away, or on a lot of ultra modern sports cards, you'll see surface damage destroy the grade right away.
Yeah, I know.
Now,
I've bought some Allen and Ginter cards, and it's like just out of the pack, like they're already there's scuffs and dings, and I'm like, cool,
It's
high quality.
unfortunate. I mean, at the end of the day, Allen and Ginter is a card set that doesn't get what they consider the highest quality control because it's one that gets produced more. There's more Allen and Ginter cards floating around than there are other sets. But
Okay, that's fair.
But yeah, it's an uncommon or an unfortunately common thing that you see with a lot of sets in sports cards, not just Allen and Ginter, almost across the board.
Okay.
I don't even know what Allen Ginter is.
Just a sports card set that Topps makes.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. So,
Anyway, moving on from those 4 components, all 4 get weighed equally. We look at these cards with high power LEDs, advanced magnifiers, some that can go as far up to 40 times magnification.
Man, how do I get one of those?
I'm like, I've got a 2.
I'm not going to disclose that.
Yeah.
And then every so often, if we absolutely have to, and in the case of vintage Pokemon, I find myself using these more frequently than not. We'll use a jeweler's loop if need be.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
I know I'm familiar with those because I've worked in jewelry, so like, but even with those, I don't know. I sometimes can't tell. Like I've taken one to shows, and I'm like, I'm doing my best.
It takes a lot of practice. It does. I have mine right here on my desk. It takes a ton of practice getting used to using these things. Right now, if I wanted to use this right now, first thing I would do actually is turn this backwards because having any kind of like shadow over your eyes will make it 10 times harder to see.
That's what it is. Like that. That's why, because I always have my hat at these shows. Oh, that's hilarious. Thank you. That's a good tip.
Well, that's funny.
I learned something
you didn't know
today.
you needed.
Yeah, there you go.
Are there any Pokemon sets that kind of come in that they're notorious for getting like bad grades because it was just a badly printed set? Like, I don't know, Silver Tempest, for example.
From my experience, there are a handful of different things that I've noticed that correlate with different Pokemon sets in particular. The Sun and Moon era with those GX cards that had those double borders.
Yeah. Oof.
Some of the worst centering I've seen out there. Some of the overall worst centering I've seen.
Now,
okay,
is
that's
it an eye thing or is it actually bad centering? Like,
no, it's actually poorly centered. Genuinely.
Okay.
Because that's how I felt. That those GX cards can be a little trickier to determine centering on because of that double border. It can just give you a little bit of an illusion sometimes. But once I've had enough practice with it, it doesn't become any more or less difficult than any other card.
Would you say
battle
styles would be one? I know it's
most definitely.
I have a bunch of like the alt arts
centering issues,
or like the super excellent crazy like the Empoleon and stuff, and it's like just the whole tops are like frilled. It's not that they're damaged, it's just they came that way, and it's like there's multiple that are like that. Even just regular.
I'm having so many flashbacks right now.
Right? And then
I will say the quality control issues like that, like straight out of the pack that you can't control, didn't necessarily stop with the Sun and Moon era. Like just because Sun and Moon had a lot of centering issues, you did, and especially continuing into the beginning of the Sword and Shield era, because I think Battle Styles is towards the beginning of that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And I know Sword and Shield base set had a lot of centering issues as well. Even though there aren't as many desirable cards in that set, it had centering issues. I know that for sure. Just because the centering issue stopped doesn't mean that all the quality control issues stopped. I noticed on a lot of the mid-era Sword and Shield stuff, there was a lot of edge damage. Still, that frill that Adam just mentioned continued on. That continued right on into the mid Sword and Shield era. That was a pretty common one to see. Same actually with, for whatever reason, with curled corners. I don't know if it had something to do with how the cards were foiled or something like that, but I would notice, especially along the top edge, usually the top two corners would curl inwards, and that'll dock the grade no matter what.
For sure.
And then continuing into into the modern day Scarlet and Violet era, we're still seeing corners come out of the pack with whitening straight on them now.
Yep.
The quality control issues haven't gone away; they've just changed.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I would say the other set I noticed hard was Pokemon Go. At least for centering, it was like it'd be so far left, so far up. Like I would pull a pack and just be like, "What is this?" The whole pack is miscut.
Now that you mentioned that, if I'm not mistaken, I think Pokemon Go actually has the most overall miscuts in our pop report out of any Pokemon set out there. I could be mistaken, but I know it's like among the highest. Like the
because I have an Eevee, a Pidove, and like an Apom in my binder right now that are just like completely. It's like 3/4 just shifted down and to the left. It's so bad. It's so bad.
Oh yeah.
I forget. Do you guys do error grading?
Yep.
So if someone submits a card that's so bad, but they didn't specifically say it's an error grade, will you give it an error grade?
It depends. So with something in the case of a miscut, yes, we can, because there is something that we can use as a determining factor, and it's being that cut dot on the back. Usually if you see that definitive white dot on the back, especially usually where that fat corner is on whichever side it was miscut on, that's a dead giveaway that, yup, this is a miscut, because that wouldn't be there otherwise. That would have been where the card was cut. So should someone just submit that thinking, oh, this is just like, one of the most poorly centered Pokemon cards I've ever seen, I'm just going to get it graded just to do it, we would still grade that as an error, because that's what it objectively is. We can't deny that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you do that for crimped cards too?
Yep. Okay. I will say the one thing that does make our error grading a little bit unique compared to some of the other companies is you can't get a 10 on an error card. The highest grade we allow for an error card is a 9. Main reason being because how can we call something a card in 10 out of 10 condition if it has a noted error already on it, like a pack crimp or being missed like that.
I love that.
You can't put that on the same level as an actual 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, no, this is perfectly cut into the shape of a square. All right, so we're talking about grading. We're talking about how the numbers and all that stuff. So the grading authority is known for being meticulous with its grading. What would you say differentiates your grading approach from others in the industry?
So in terms of our grading approach, I actually can't 100% say, because I don't know 100% what the other company's approach is. I've never worked for those other companies, so I can't say exactly what their approach is, but I can say that every grading company has a different grading scale. And our grading scale is certainly a lot tighter than a lot of the other grading companies out there.
As a collector, I 100% appreciate that so much. It is like, it feels so good as the consumer when I know that I sent these in and I'm like, I think they're okay. But I was just, when I initially found TGA, I was just throwing stuff at the wall and I was like, how did this get an 8? But like, looking at it now, it totally deserved an 8, and but the more I've worked with you guys, like I know it's tighter, so I have held back a lot of the things that I want to grade because it's so tight, and I want that 10. I chase Delibirds, so like I just submitted Iron Bundles, and it's like those got the 10s, and I was like, no way. I mean, they looked gorgeous. The centering looked, and I'm like, they look gorgeous. So I was so happy with that, but it's like, now I know that, like, I don't know, as a collector, I would rather earn my 10 than have it handed to me. Because I've seen other grading companies, I've looked at the backs, and I'm like, there's literally a white nick there. Like, how did that get a 10? That's not a 10. Yep. Or like, there's definitely a scratch on the... how did it get a 10? I don't understand. And then
You
a
and every
10 in
collector
another
out
company.
there who experiences anything with grading has seen this happen before.
Yeah, and then it's like I see a
Absolutely.
10
And
in in a separate company from the other company I was talking about, and it's like it's off-centered so hard. I'm like, this is a 9. Save me. Like
yeah.
it's so
Oh
bad.
yeah.
It's so
Oh
bad.
yeah. Oh yeah. And that's a big thing that we take a lot of pride on is not just obviously in our grading scale being tighter, so to make you really make the cards really earn the tens at the end of the day, because
Yep.
tens should be hard to get in our opinion. They shouldn't. It shouldn't be something where you just send cards in and get your free candy every single time you send them in.
Yep.
They
I
should be
totally
hard to get.
agree.
That's
Yeah.
why these
Yeah.
pens get the high value price tags at the end of the
Yeah.
day, because they're rarer, they're harder to find, stuff like that. So not just not us having a tighter grading scale and being meticulous like that, and giving the customer more, it gives the customer more of a satisfaction when they actually earn that 10, like you just gave me that example of with your deli birds, Adam. But sorry, losing my train of thought here. Not just that, but we really pride ourselves on being consistent with that meticulousness in trying to make sure that you know, like, when you look at this card, oh, it got an 8. Why did it get an 8? And you're looking it over again and you figure it out. Okay, if I see that in the future, I know it's going to get this grade, so I won't send it in if I see that.
Yep.
We want you as collectors to learn these things from us. So with the fact that we keep that consistency makes it 100 times easier for you to learn these things.
My
As a
favorite
collector.
is you guys are at tons of shows in the New England area. So it's like I love being able to walk up to the table, hey, I just pulled this, and I can get a raw grade right then and there. I know that's not the
Yep.
end all be all, but it's like, hey, this is what we saw here.
Honestly, that's awesome. I wish I had that here in Texas.
Yeah, yeah, and I know there are other grading services out there that do offer what they call a raw card review, where you can bring it to like a big convention and have it
Mhm.
graded on site, and you get it back in a few hours. But the big difference that with when TGA does that is we do it in person, right in front of you, and
Yep.
it's done in a couple of minutes. So
Oh,
and
nice.
we're going to explain exactly
Yeah.
why your card got the grade it did. We're not going to hide anything from you. There's no reason for us to pass it to the man behind the curtain
Yeah.
to put the grade on it. We want you to know exactly why it graded the way it did.
It's not the
Love
Wizard
that.
of Oz, man behind the curtain.
Nope. Nope.
This isn't the Emerald City.
Absolutely not.
All right.
No
So
free gems here.
that makes me so happy. Like I enjoy when I've gone to shows, people ask me, like, "Oh, what do you think about that?" And it's like I just told you right here on this podcast, that's exactly what I tell people that come to my booth is like, again, I would rather earn the 10. So I have full confidence in selling these slabs. Like they're beautiful, they look gorgeous, they feel the same as PSA. Like it flows with the stacks of slabs that I have. So it's like meanwhile you have other cards that are just like shapes.
Oh, yeah.
Shapes is the cases I would consider.
You know what?
But
I didn't realize they're the same size as the PSA slabs until I stacked them up the other day. I was like, oh,
They actually lock together. They're completely
Yeah.
stackable with PSA. Yeah.
yeah.
all right, and with
That's
that,
pretty cool.
speaking of them looking good, let's talk labels. Tell us about
Yep.
all of your options: holographic, flow, energy match, color match. I don't know if I missed any there, but these are fun options as a collector. But my personal favorite is the straight up energy match labels. I just feel like it looks so consistent. If you're looking at Pikachu, you're going to get a lightning bolt for the energy match. You're going to get specific colors with specific Pokemon. It feels really good. But yeah, go into your labels. Like this is my favorite thing.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite thing about TGA as a whole. Honestly, is that we not only pride ourselves on keeping consistency and being meticulous with our grades, but making the slabs that you get back in hand look as nice as they possibly can, and to give you the choice in how they end up looking at the end of the day. So that's why we give you this whole variety of options, as Adam started to get into there. We have energy match labels where the grade box, depending on the card, will have whatever energy emblem is on the Pokemon in the background with associated matching colors.
I did have a quick question on that. This is like a super
Fire
subsection.
ahead.
Sorry. If you had a Delta
Fire away.
species that has metal and lightning, what does that get as the energy match?
At that point, if it actually has 2 energies on it, we can't do a double energy match, so we would leave that up to you. You pick between the 2.
Okay. I think
That can be a tough choice, but in that regard is when I actually tend to steer people towards our full color labels, because then they can pick a color that matches the overall aesthetic of the entire card. You're not locked between 2 energies.
okay, that's pretty cool.
Yep. So yeah, that was a perfect little segue there. The full color labels, we offer you the full rainbow options for colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, in addition to gold, black, silver, and white. And then my personal favorite label that we offer, this isn't available on all cards, but on select alternate arts, full arts, illustration rares, special illustration rares, cards like that with those full art styles. We offer what we call our flow labels, where we actually extend the art from the cards right up onto the label, and they look fantastic.
Yeah, I've seen the
Each of these
Latios
cards that has
and
a
the
flow label
Latios.
available has its own unique design, and they extend perfectly, and they just add such an awesome touch to your personal collection, especially if it's a PC card. It adds such a nice touch.
Yes, I totally agree with that.
Yep. And so the flow labels are one of our technically our label upgrades. So they're one of the only labels we actually charge a little extra for, just because it's an upgraded art at the end of the day. So it's a $5 upcharge for the flow labels. But
And let's not forget, somebody has to put in the time to make that art.
Exactly. Yeah, we have to get a graphic design team to create these flow labels at the end of the day. Yeah. So.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other label upgrade that we offer that a lot of people really, really like are our holographic labels. And we can do this upgrade on any kind of label.
On any of them?
We can make the label, any label. Flow
Is
label.
that new? I don't know that I'm familiar with the holographic labels.
So actually I can grab one right off my shelf right here. Nope, not that one. This one. So this is a sports label, but I'm not sure how well you can see, but the label itself.
That is so sick. They look so much better. Oh god. Okay, now what is it if I have to regrade all of mine?
Trying to get my camera back here. There we go. Yeah, so that's what a holo label looks like.
That looks so good.
Oh man, that looks good. Okay.
You can add that to any label. So even a flow label, you could add.
And so like this grout I have here, this is the full color?
That's the full color option. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So we could, if you wanted to, and we could make that a holographic full color orange label. So it would be really
interesting.
Like that. Yeah.
I'll have to think about that.
And then this normal one right here that I have is that's just the normal one.
Yeah, that's a great example of the energy match right there. That's the water energy match label.
It's hard to see.
Big old 10.
What if you if you just chose nothing? Is it just a black? I don't even know what it looks like.
So yeah, we do have what we call our standard royal black label, where it's just like a flat black background with just the information about what the card is and the grade on it. But 99 times out of 100, our Pokemon collectors aren't going to want that. So
yeah,
when you submit online, you can't not choose a label. You have to choose a label at the end of the day. But for example, if somebody comes into our shop and just doesn't write a label choice down in the submission form, we usually do what we call grader's choice. So we'll let whoever's grading it pick out whatever they think label will fit best.
Yeah, I like that. I submitted some V-Friends Series 2 cards, and I put grader's choice for those. Well, no, I just submitted some today.
Oh, just recently?
Today, okay. Yeah.
I was going to say, I think you've done some V-Friends with us in the past. So
yes, I have. Yep.
Yeah. I thought so.
That makes me think of a question. Is there any cards you guys don't grade? You like, all right, we do Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, Pokemon, sports, but is there anything you guys are like, no, we will not grade that?
Very few. The only real limitation at the end of the day is family friendly type stuff at the end of the day. So like nudity, anything like that, we won't do. Anything depicting violence stuff, we won't grade stuff like that.
I don't know. Some of those Charizard cards are pretty. They're pretty fire, and they're like burning each other. So I don't know.
As long as it's not that thick with 3 C's Charizard.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that's kind of where we draw the line. Other than that, it's really just size limitations. So if a card is too thick, or we don't do jumbo cards right now, stuff like that. We may end up moving towards doing different size cards at the end of the day, but that's really the only major limitation.
Do you guys grade the sports cards with like jersey or whatever stuff on them?
Yep. we just go up to a certain thickness. We can't go
Yeah.
past 180 point. And it's very rare that cards get made that thick anyway.
Yeah.
The only examples I can actually think of off the top of my head are like hockey relics, where they have like a whole piece of the guy's stick inside the card and stuff like that.
I got to get me one of those.
Oh, they are rare. I have not seen many of them.
If you had to ballpark, like the percentages of, what's like TCG, what's sports, and like the your business as a whole does, what would you say?
I can actually give you the exact split as of the beginning of 2025. It was 60% Pokemon, 40% everything else.
Wow.
Fair enough.
Pokemon was by far the fan favorite in
Yep.
2024. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep. Which honestly isn't that much of a surprise to me, considering we have those flow labels, and Pokemon was where those got. That's where they came from. At the end of the day, was from Pokemon. We have expanded those into some of the other TCGs, like Lorcana. We do them for the Enchanteds. One Piece. We've done a couple of alternate arts for One Piece, stuff like that. But
that's really cool.
But Pokemon is where they're rooted from. At the end of the day, so.
Okay, so you're the head grader, so you've seen just about every type of card come through. What are some of the most common mistakes collectors make when submitting cards for grading?
Yep. All right. Number one, dead most common mistake that I have seen, like far and away most common mistake, is either using the wrong sleeves or using no sleeves when people send us their cards. Yeah, that face that you just made, Adam, right there is my face every time we get a submission with no sleeves.
You open up the plain white envelope and it's just a raw Charizard from base set. You're like,
no, it's actually almost worse than that. It's usually just stuffed into a top loader with no soft sleeve.
And those top loaders, they can be vicious.
Are rough.
And
no
they just slide around depending if they're big.
Card. Oh yeah.
So those cards could just be like.
Okay, so how do we remedy this? Ab and I know, but let's tell the viewers how you want it to be submitted.
So everyone who submits for grading should get their hands on these premium trading card sleeves, otherwise known as penny sleeves. They're completely crystal clear, and these protect your cards way better than any other sleeve out there. The amount of times I'll see people send us in submissions where the cards will be in those sleeves you get in ETBs or collection boxes.
No.
Because
in order to get those, if you're somebody who does that, stop doing that.
Yeah, they're like curved. Like the sleeves themselves are curved. So when they're putting them in there, they're probably damaging them by pushing them in there.
I've seen them bend surfaces because of the bow that those sleeves end up having. I have seen them scratch surfaces. I've seen them rip up edges. They look cool. That's about it. That's about all they do for you.
Yeah, they're meant if you're going to play a deck, put those cards in that deck and play.
Sure.
Yeah. But even shuffling them are bad.
Cards, by all means, go nuts.
And then, okay, so you put it in the penny sleeve, and then what?
So, yeah, penny sleeve. And then always, you'll want to use either a top loader like this, or a semi-rigid, otherwise sometimes known as a card saver, which looks like this. That's got a label in it. Let me get that out of there. Semi-rigid looks like that.
Yeah.
I've noticed. What's the trick with those?
I've got some on me.
Because
that the way you have that garden board packed right now would be perfect.
Yeah.
So what's the trick with these? Because like I'll put a card in, and when I'm putting a card in, it gets stuck here. It doesn't want to go all the way down.
I can already see where your issue is, Adam. I can already.
It's because I'm holding it sideways.
No, actually, the way you're holding it doesn't have anything to do with it. So there's two different kinds of semi-rigids out there, and I think you might have the wrong size.
Mine's the card saver 2.
Oh, it's a card saver 2. Oh, okay. So let me just clear this up real quick. There are different sizes of semi-rigids, and there are some that they make that are significantly smaller. Like I'm just have a random card right here. You can see the size of this semi-rigid. There are some that they make that are significantly smaller that go really just around the borders of this card right here. Oh. Those semi-rigids are way harder to get your cards in and out from. I've seen people damage their cards just trying to put them in and take them out from those.
Yeah, because I've put mine in. Good to know. Normally I have a sleeve on. This is just a code card, but like I'll throw it in, and I'll get to this point where it's like almost in, and it's like
Yeah.
I don't want to I don't want to like I can feel my finger like damaging it,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
like, oh, I don't want to do that.
So a big tip I can give you there. This one you might face palm that you haven't thought of this one before, but almost no one thinks of it. So don't think of it like that. Say you're putting your card into the semi-rigid. I'm doing one right now. Putting your card into the semi-rigid and it gets a little stuck like right there, like you usually like right around there. Just start tapping it against your hand or on a table or something like that.
That's what I
Sometimes
do
you
for
might have to
top loaders.
re-angle
I'll
it.
put things
Sometimes,
halfway in and just tap all of them. They all just go down at the same time. I'm like, yes.
top loaders, this trick works 100% of the time. But sometimes with semi-rigids, you'll have to like re-angle the card, but you don't have to push it in any further, and then you can
Oh,
just give it a
okay.
few more taps.
Now, something I don't know if it's a good idea or not. In the past, I've attached like a little sticky note to the outside of the penny sleeve, and I'll use that to position it, and then I'll just take that out.
So I don't hate that. I actually kind of don't. I don't mind that at all. Matter of fact, I
Yeah.
know there are some penny sleeves out there that have what they call pull tabs already built onto them,
Mm-hmm.
like that, and
Yeah.
they're meant to stick out of the top loader a little bit, so you can just
Mm-hmm.
grab them and pull them right out. I don't mind them. I just know that unfortunately, some of the other grading companies out there despise them for whatever reason.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. What is the most challenging part of grading a card? Is it the centering, the corners, or something else entirely?
So at the end of the day, I can't say that any one of those four elements, any like centering, edges, corner, surface, I can't say any one of those is necessarily more difficult to determine a grade for than any of the others. But I would say sometimes what the hardest thing can be when it comes to grading any card is to not let yourself get too excited. It's because I'll get a huge card, it gets plopped on my desk. Base set Charizard first edition gets plopped on my desk, and I get all kinds of excited because me as a collector knows how awesome of a card this is to have landed on
Yeah.
my desk. But I know I still have to hold true to our grading scale, and I can't justify putting a higher grade on that card than it deserves just to make TGA look better. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't make us look better; it makes us look worse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's
Has
good.
anyone ever tried to bribe you?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Do people like put money in with their submission? Like, hey,
Not
here's
Oh
$100.
gosh.
I would say 99.9% of the bribe attempts have been jokes at the end of the
Okay.
day.
Yeah.
With I
But
mean,
there
but
is
it's even if it's a
one
joke, there's like
excellent
a
story I
little
have from a card
seriousness.
show. There's one story I have from a card show where where we were raw grading people's cards, like I was explaining earlier, and I don't even remember what card it was. It wasn't even anything that of that much value or of even to be that memorable, to be honest with you. But I gave it a 9.5. I graded it right in front of him, explained
Mm-hmm.
to him why it got a 9.5 overall, and he literally tried to hand me a $50 bill and went $50 for it to be a 10. And I went,
Hey, that's a good
no.
deal.
I
I'm just kidding. It's not a good deal.
oh yeah, throw away our integrity for $50.
There you go.
He's like, I'm gonna go
Man.
100 next time.
That's the one time I think anyone's ever actually been serious about trying to bribe me into a higher grade, but
That is legit wild.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so do you yourself do a lot of these shows, or is it other graders at the?
It's a good
Yeah.
mix, and it depends on the time of year too. Like right now, we're really hitting the beginning of our really busy show season, where we're going to have. Matter of fact, I think it's for the next 14 weeks. We have a minimum of one show per weekend.
Oh man! And are you doing one show per weekend?
Not all of them. It
Yeah.
depends. Obviously, there are other weekends that have multiple shows in different regions, like one up in Maine and one down in Connecticut, stuff like that. And so there will be some weekends where I'll be working both days, and then there will be weekends where I'm off. So, but yeah, we do a ton. We do tons of those card shows.
That's cool. We hear a lot about cards getting a 10 grade, but what does that really mean in terms of the card's condition? Are there any secret nuances or gray areas that collectors might not realize when submitting? We're looking at their cards.
Yeah, so I hate to say this, but like there is way too much gray area in what makes a card a 10. nowadays. And this is because there's all these different grading companies out there now with different grading scales that allow for different things on a 10. Different, for example, like, we'll see grading company A will grade cards with 60-40 centering as 10s. In TGA's opinion, that can't be. A card with 60-40 centering is not as well centered as 50-50 or 55-45 centering. Something like that can't get a 10 to us, but we'll see some companies do that with centering like that. We'll see another company, company B might allow for print lines to be, or a small amount of print lines to be on the surfaces of their cards and still get a 10. And in TJ's opinion, that doesn't make any sense. If there's a print line on the card, whereas there's other versions out there that don't have the print lines on the card, then the card with the print line is not a 10 at the end of the day. So in TGA's perspective, I keep mentioning those 4 components, and it's just so key to remember those 4 things: centering, edges, corners, surface. A 10, in TGA's opinion, it has all 4 of those components in the best possible condition that they can be in. And now I will separate a little bit here. Finding a card with all 4 of those components absolutely flawless, without even one teeny little minor flaw on it, is next to impossible. You'll drive yourself crazy if you look for something that's completely flawless, like 110% under a magnifier and everything flawless. So this is where TGA allows for one extremely minor flaw on your card, and you can still receive the TGA pristine 10. This is where we separate a card that is flawless, and the very, very, very rare chance that happens and gets 10s across the board on all 4 of those components, where we give out the TGA 10 Immaculate. That grade is so incredibly elusive. I have seen 15 of them in the last 30,000 cards we've graded.
That was going to be one of my questions, because I was looking over at the website.
It's like a Jigglypuff or something.
No, it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was looking at it and I was like, wait a minute. So you're telling me there's a chance that there's a different grade? There's a higher than a 10? And I was like, okay, what do I need to do to get that? So that's like,
of that are so beyond slim. Like I just said to you, 15 out of 30,000.
No, and like that's incredible. Like that's like, yeah. That makes me feel even better, because again, if I got one, I'd be like,
that you're not getting.
Can I share a bit of a wild personal story involving the TGA Immaculate? So, all right. So when this was like within the first month of me working for TGA. My fiance and I had just moved up to the area. I had just started working. She had just started her new job. We're both into cards. She's into different things from me. She doesn't like Pokemon as much. She's into more like Disney and other stuff like that. She opened a box of Disney cards one day. They're from a card game called White Schwartz. She opened White Schwartz Disney 100 cards.
Oh, yep.
Oh, I didn't realize White Schwartz did Disney 100.
Oh yeah, it was back in 2023. They did them for obviously for Disney 100. Yeah. But anyway, she opened a box of them and pulled a couple of decent hits. Like, I think they were like, $20 or $30 cards. But one of them was of the Lion King, and the other was like this gold foil card with the Disney 100 logo like stamped right across it. It was a beautiful card, to be honest with you. So she submitted them with TGA to get them slabbed up for her own collection. This is the first time ever submitting cards for grading, right? Ever in her entire life. And I've been submitting cards for grading, 5-10 years at this point, right? To all with different companies, with TGA, all that. I've never hit any grade like that. And she hits an immaculate 10 on that gold stamped Disney 100 card on her first time grading ever. Now I'm happy for her, but I'm sitting here punching the air going, why the freaking heck does she get that and not me when I've been working for something? You know what I mean?
That's hilarious.
It's
one of my goodness.
Stories. I love it.
Oh, what a story. Now, she kept the card, right?
She still has it.
Okay, because I was going to say that would have broken my heart there.
We are never
like, it was great, and we sold it for $200.
Should have sold it for $400,000.
She was like, how much money could I get for that? And I was like, relax, you are not selling that.
Oh, man.
All right,
Oh yeah.
let's sidestep a little bit. In your years of grading, what's the wildest card or the most surprising submission you've come across? Anything that made you stop and say like, "Wow, I can't believe I'm grading this card."
100%. I mean, I could rattle off a ton of cards like that where I just like, oh my god, this is in my hand right now. I can't even believe it. You know what I mean? I could go on and on
Just
and
so
on
you
and on
guys
all
know,
day long.
it's just all the deli birds I submit.
No, that's
Oh
more
my
about I
god.
really can't believe this. I can't believe he submitted another
I
one.
can't
Yeah,
believe.
yeah, exactly. Absolutely. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. If I had to whittle it down at the end of the day to just the absolute number one craziest, like, oh my god, I can't believe it, cards I've ever seen. I know I'm gonna have to step away from Pokemon for this, but I grew up a baseball card collector, so seeing this come through the door, absolutely, I still can't believe I saw this come through the door and I got to grade this card. Someone walked in one day out of nowhere. Old woman comes walking into our shop and goes, "I heard this card's worth some money. Can I get it graded?" And it's a 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle, like the holy grail, the all-time holy grail of vintage baseball, like
Oh
straight up.
my goodness.
I this is a true story right here. When I had finished grading the card, I got the privilege of being the first one to look over the card out of a whole bunch. We had the whole grading team look over that one. But after I took my turn going over it and pass it off to the other guys and eventually got it over to the labeling team, I remember I got up from my desk and just went into the bathroom and just immediately started crying because I just could not believe it. That like literally 10-year-old kid in me just had his dream come true that he got to hold that card in his hand.
That's so cool.
Oh my
Yeah, so
goodness.
that's the number one. That's and it is one of 3 times ever where that's happened. Where I've just gotten up from my desk and just walked off to the bathroom, like, oh my god, I can't, but like just gotten emotional because I couldn't believe what I
What
saw.
grade did it get?
The mantle
Yeah.
got a 4.5,
Yeah.
which for the age of that card being
Yeah. A
70,
52.
almost 75 years old now, and that being the grail of baseball is pretty phenomenal.
Wow.
Yeah,
So, Phantom, for example, I see a 52 mantle with a PSA 1 on eBay right now for
boy,
55,000.
and that's low. That's low for a one.
Oh man.
Yep. Yep. I
Insane.
know there are 3 PSA 10s in existence of that card. 3 of them. And at one point one sold for, I want to say it almost cracked $10 million. I don't think it
Wow.
quite got there, but it almost cracked it.
Wow. That's like
Yeah.
the One Ring.
Pretty much.
All right. What's the most difficult or rare card you've ever had to grade? Can you tell us about any
Um
challenges or interesting stories around that?
Yeah, so like, in terms of like again, like in terms of difficulty grading, there isn't like really one card that was like, oh, this one's so hard to grade. I can't like I just can't tell what shape the edges are in. Like at the end of the day, if I can hold it in my hand, I can tell what condition it's in. I've spent enough time in these with cards that determining the condition on a card at the end of the day isn't going to be more difficult one card than another. Not much more than the other. Sometimes it just takes a little more time with one card just to be sure. But I will say that vintage cards in general, anything pre 2000 at this point, I know that's not vintage, but any generally speaking, anything pre
To us
2000
old
takes like
folk,
a little bit.
it's vintage.
No, anything pre 2000 just takes us a little bit more time to go over and just assess and make sure that like what we're seeing is damage versus like not something like maybe how the card was made or if the foiling was done that way or something like that. You know what I mean?
Okay. And now
But
is it
in terms of pure rarity, like an absolutely pure rarity, like rarest cards I've ever seen in the sports card world, there are what's called one of ones, meaning quite literally there's not another copy of this card out there. It's a one of one. I've seen a good handful. I honestly couldn't tell you exactly how many of them I've seen, but
Modern or old one of ones?
modern. These are all modern. I would say
Okay.
I don't think they started stamping cards with like one of one stamps until the mid '90s or something like that.
it's
But
Oh, I
printed
didn't
and
realize it went back
scarcity?
that far.
something I think I want to say it was the mid '90s that they started putting serialized stamps on certain cards. But anyway, in terms of like some of the like biggest name one of ones I've seen, Troy Aikman, Rob Gronkowski, Katie Ledecky, Julio Rodriguez, Derek Jeter, some
Ooh,
guys like
okay.
that. I've seen some one of one cards of theirs in the past, which have
Wow.
been amazing, absolutely amazing. Yeah.
That's really
Very
cool.
cool.
Yep.
All right. Now, is there any Pokemon card that stands out and just it always grabs your attention every time it comes through? Like one, like
So yeah, I can't narrow it down to one card, but I can narrow it down to one set that had the overall, not perfectly across the board, but overall best quality control I've seen in recent English Pokemon. Crown Zenith.
Really?
Crown, especially for whatever reason, at least from the cards that I've seen get submitted for through TGA from Crown Zenith, and especially from the Galarian Gallery,
Hmm.
did so well. I've seen more tens from that subset, the Crown Zenith Galarian Gallery, than probably any other Pokemon set out there.
see, that's so interesting. I have so many of them that are like me looking at them, like I know that they're off centered, so I'm like, I'm not even gonna touch that.
That was really the only thing that like I would say consistently hurt Crown Zenith grades was centering. The edges and corners and surfaces were very well made and very well kept during
Yeah,
Yeah,
that.
they feel sturdy when you're holding those. They feel sturdy. I will say that.
Absolutely.
I was looking at two of my gold Giratinas the other day, and
Oh
I
yeah.
was like, you know what? This actually looks centered and has good corners, which is not typical for most of the cards that I see. So,
Submit with
Good.
so I
TGA
was like, I
today.
might actually get this graded.
Yeah, it might be worth a shot. At the end of the day, you can always go in. You could always go into, and I would advise collectors who like are maybe new to grading to do something like this is to go into our pop report and look up different Pokemon sets and see what the grades look like
Mhm.
overall, because that'll give you at least kind of an idea of what general condition these cards are that get submitted to us from.
Yeah, that's a good reminder. I forget that the pop report exists.
Oh yeah, oh
And
yeah.
and just out of curiosity, how often is it updated?
Biweekly.
Bi-weekly. Okay. That's hey, I mean
Every 2 weeks.
that's really good, honestly.
Yep. Yep. We usually try to get it up on a Friday. Every other Friday we try to get it up. Usually Friday evening.
Okay.
But every so often it gets pushed off to a Monday or Tuesday. But yeah.
So how many Pikachu's with gray felt hats have you graded?
If you let me look up the pop report right now, I can tell you in like 10 seconds.
I can tell you PSA has 30 32,000 like 40.
Oh my.
Like all in tens.
Yeah.
All in tens, by the way. So this card is not rare by any means. It is just desired by every single person on the planet. Meanwhile,
PGA is graded 140.
That's so many.
that is
100. That's a significant amount for having only been out for what, just under 2 years now.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a significant amount.
All right. Now grading is part science and part art. How do you train yourself and your team to consistently make accurate judgments on cards that are sometimes only marginally different in their condition?
So yeah, the biggest thing with very minimal marginal differences like that I have to train this whole grading team to stay aware of is to not be afraid to bounce it off another grader. Be like, hey, if say you're looking at a card and one of my graders is like between a 9, 5, and 10, but they're just not sure. They just can't. They just keep teeter-tottering between the two. I will encourage them. Go show one of the other graders. Get their opinion. As long as at the end of the day, the more eyes you have look at a single card, the more likely it is that you're going to see any little thing that there could be on the card.
Okay.
So, um, so yeah, that's again why we know that the human eye isn't 100%. It's not no grading company. I will say this straight up right now: TGA isn't perfect, and neither is any grading company on Earth. No grading company on Earth can get every grade right every time. It's just impossible when it comes to human grading. But that's why TGA, we take the extra time to go over a card that we're just unsure on with another grader, and that's where I sometimes, as the head grader, will step in and end up making a final call. If, say, we have 4 graders look at it and we're split 2
And
and
they're
2,
all like, hey, oh, I say a 9. I say a 10. I say a 9.5. I also say a 9.5.
it has to be a half-point difference. It can't end up being a full-point difference like that.
Yeah.
We have to be within a point of each other. But that's where I step in, and we'll end up making the final call.
That's good to know. It's good to know that there's multiple eyes on this. It's not just you by yourself. One. Hey, it's lunchtime. One.
Yep. No,
Actually,
at the end of the day, having multiple eyes on each step of the process, because there is a lot more to getting a card graded than just the grade. At the end of the day, like we already went over the labels, making sure all the info on the labels correct,
Yeah.
and all of that, and make sure the slab is nice and clean, no scratches or fingerprints on it when it goes back to the customer. There's a lot more that goes into it, obviously, other than just grading the card itself.
Actually, how does it get encapsulated? How do
It's
you like?
It's the exact same thing PSA actually does. It's called ultrasonic welding.
Oh,
So it's just a big ultrasonic welding machine where the two halves of the slab are pressed together, and what ultrasonic is essentially is vibrations. So the little prongs on the inside of the slab vibrate together at ultrasonic speed and actually melt on top of each other. That's how the seal.
That's
how the seal
cool.
happens.
That's cool.
wow.
It happens in actually you would be shocked as to how fast it happens actually.
And so, but how does the card make it into that slab before that happens?
Make it into the slab. Like it at the end of the day, we have someone who has to handle it, but they always are wearing, gloves of all kinds.
Sure.
And
Okay.
they handle the card. It just gets placed into one side. The label gets placed in.
Cool.
Lid goes on top, and then it's welded together.
Okay. All right. Now we kind of talked about this just a little bit, that the card grading can be subjective at times, but how do you handle situations where the collectors disagree with your grade? Are there any instances that you'll reevaluate a card?
Oh yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, TGA, like we pride ourselves on that consistency and on being accurate to the point where if we are shown a card that we've graded previously, and they go, "How did it get this grade?" and we look back at it and we're looking at it, and even through the slab, we can tell, yeah, this didn't deserve whatever grade this is. We'll reevaluate it absolutely on us because we know we admit our error right there. And I know at the end of the day, there are very few grading companies out there that will do that.
That's
Because
awesome.
a lot of they stand by their grade at the end of the day. We will admit at the end of the day wholeheartedly, like I just said, there's no grading company out there that's perfect, but there's very few of them out there that will admit that.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll admit at the end of the day if we've missed a grade, and we'll reevaluate on our end at the end of the day, and we'll make sure that it gets redone properly. And
That's
that has
awesome.
happened from time to time. That happens from time to time. It's very rare. I would say, like, I see it happen once every handful of months. At the end of the day, somebody will question a grade, and at that time, it's even rarer that we actually end up taking it back to regrade it, because usually we can explain to them that it's just something that they haven't seen. Like oftentimes they'll get their card back with an 8 on it, and go, "Why did this get an 8?" And we'll point and we'll be able to show them, "Oh, look, this corner is curled and there's a little scratch on it right there." And they'll go, "Oh, I didn't notice that. Thanks." And that's the end of that.
Yeah, sometimes it just, and like that's a thing that I think a lot of collectors, submitting cards, they feel like they just want to know why. Do you have any plans to, like, I don't know, I guess like have like footnotes or something like that? Is there?
You're leaning towards like grader notes type of thing.
Yeah.
So we actually, in a way, we already have them. You just have to pay for subgrades. Because we offer subgrades. You can get subgrades put right there on your label. You'll see that your centering's a 10, edges are a 10, corners are a 9. You'll see all the information on what made your card get the grade it did.
Okay.
Is that a $5 upgrade?
3 for subgrades.
3.
The flow labels are the $5 upgrade. $3 for subgrades.
Okay.
Nice.
And I guess this is a good question to ask. How much is it to grade with TGA?
$17 a card right now.
And now if I submit a Moonbryon, does that go up? What about a Surging Sparks Pikachu?
You could submit me the highest value Pokemon card. $17.
Okay. What if I submit you a Mickey Mantle baseball card? Still $17?
She got a deal. Let's just say that.
Yes, she did. Got that for $17. You're not going to beat that.
No. Okay, so that's awesome. All right, and as the head
That's
grader, Garrett, do you ever feel pressure from collectors or the market's demand when grading certain high-end value cards?
So when it comes to the actual value of the cards themselves, I don't feel any pressure from that at this point because of the amount I've seen. There's very few things you could come up to me with that I probably haven't seen either before or something super similar to. So
Okay.
you could hand me a $10,000 card and it's not going to phase me and it's not going to pressure me to put a higher or lower grade on it. But the very rare instance at where I'll feel any kind of pressure to put a higher grade on, and I don't at the end of the day, just when I do feel that pressure myself, will be at a show. When somebody comes up to me for a raw grade with a super mega high value card in their hand that they may have just pulled or even just bought, and they'll be coming up to me and looking for the raw grade, and they'll just no, it was not. And
No. I did the Charizard from 151 when I pulled it.
Oh well, you're not the guy that I'm about to describe.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm getting at. No, so somebody will come up to me at a show with a big high value card, whether they just pulled it or even just bought it. They'll come up to me and look for a raw grade, and while I'm grading it, like while it's in my hand and I'm assessing it, they'll go, "Oh, I know it's a 10. Just put the 10 on already," or something else along those lines. And I just have to sit there and go, "Hang on a minute," like remind myself, "Hang on now. You're the pro grader here, not this goofball with an expensive card in front of me right now." So.
Yeah.
I just have to, and at the end of the day, when those situations come up, 99 times out of 100 in that situation, if it's not a 10, and I can explain to them why, and they'll understand. Whether they're happy or not is left to be seen, but
Yeah, see, I wasn't happy when I got my Charizard. It was, but it was straight. I think it was an 8.5, but it was like, I just pulled it out of a pack, so I was like, I can't believe that. But then, like,
was it
I think it was
151 Charizard, not the play Charizard.
No, it was 151, and I'm pretty sure Garrett's the one that was doing it. But you explained it. You explained it to me though. Like you went and you gave me like the rundown.
Yeah.
You're like, this is why. You're like, this up here, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I was just happy to like have you guys right there at the show to be able to just do that. That was probably that was like such a magical moment for me. I was so excited to like pull something, and then I just ran to your booth.
Are you going to be at Adam's show that he's going to in 2 weeks?
What show would that be, Adam?
The Best Flipping Card Show.
TGA will be set up there. Yep, we will be set up at Best Flipping.
But will you be there?
I will not be set up with TGA, but I will be doing my best to at least be able to come by and walk the floor and see who's up, say hi to everybody.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
I'll do my best. I can't guarantee that I'll be there yet. Still trying to work it all out, but
okay, so you have the day off, is what you're saying.
We'll see.
Well,
and what's the other one?
The other one is the Collector Expo at the Batten House Beer Hall or something like that.
Great American Beer Hall.
Great American.
I will not be at that one, and I don't think TGA will be either.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I know it's new. I just kind of signed up on a whim.
Yeah, we did just upload our upcoming show schedule to all our social media, and it's on our website too. So.
All right, so we'll have that. I mean, we have TGA's website in our description anyways, but that'll be there.
Yeah, just go to the events page. That's where you'll see everywhere that we're going to be.
All right, that's exciting. Because Justin's going to have his first experience with TGA. I'm so excited.
Oh, yeah. I love it.
So, Pokemon is insane right now. The market is literally exploded, and there's just shrapnel everywhere, and people, if like they can find something, they're like, I'll buy it at a high price. It's like, can you not? Like I watched somebody walk in,
people fighting at Target, all that. Yeah.
No, I was literally in my local card shop, and I'm just like, I had my phone out so I could like zoom in and see the price of the prismatic evolution that was on the shelf, and it's like single packs are $25, so 8 packs is $200. or you can buy the Elite Trainer box for $200, which has 10, right? Or 9? I don't know.
9. I'm pretty
9.
sure it didn't TV. Yeah.
But like,
Oh god.
but like, I'm just like, and I'm just standing there, and he goes, "Yo, can I get that Elite Trainer box?" And just buys it and walks out. Doesn't say anything. I'm like, what? You're part of the problem.
200? Oh my god, for 9
And so just for context, Prismatic Evolutions has been out since the 17th of January. We're
coming up on 2 months.
We're coming up on 2 months, and I have not seen a single product on shelves in 2 months.
Yeah.
And Pokemon announced, hey, we're going to reprint stuff. Where is it?
We're gonna print more.
Where is it? The last time I saw a restock, I saw tons of Surging Sparks, and I saw Elite Trainer boxes of Scarlet and Violet. Did anybody ask for that? No. We asked for Prismatic Evolutions.
Yep.
But wait.
Prismatic?
Journey Together's coming out. Look this way, over here. So, with all that being said, how has this affected the grading industry, and how do you see this trend evolving over the next few years?
So asking me to predict that one, that's a bit of a
a
bit of a tough thing to do, but I will do my best. I do have my suspicions and one maybe semi-bold prediction here for you guys, but we'll see what you think. When it comes to impacting grading, remember how I said that last year in 2024 we saw 60% Pokemon and 40% everything else?
Yes.
Well, the first 2 months of 2025 were 70% Pokemon and 30% everything else.
Wow. Okay. I mean, everybody wants Pokemon.
How it already affected the grading industry just from TGA's perspective, and we, compared to some of the other companies out there, we don't take in nearly as many cards. So seeing that much of an increase, even on a smaller company scale, goes to tell you what's happening with the rest of the grading industry.
Pokemon is where it's at.
It's where it's at. It's become cool again, which is crazy to say because like when I was a kid and I had my Pokemon cards, like you were lucky if you didn't get beat up on the school bus for showing your buddies your Pokemon cards. Like
this is true.
And now all of a sudden everyone and their mom wants to do it, and it's and which is great. Trust me, I'd much rather have everyone and their mom wanting to do it than what it used to be. But
yeah.
Oh, great.
My mom's sending me pictures, and she's like, are any of these cards good? I'm like, Mom, those are 3 commons. They have circles on them. They're not hollow. They're not reverse hollow. I'm like,
hey, at least she's trying.
And it's funny because my grandmother, we went out to dinner, and she's like, did he say that they were worth anything? I'm like, Graham, those are just common cards. She's like, I thought they were worth money.
That's
funny.
So great. Yeah, so it's impacted the grading industry big time, and with the bigger companies, I can't speak from experience, but I can say we've seen some slowdowns from some people I know. We've already seen like submission time starting to tick upwards. I don't want to mention specific names, but there was one company now that I know raised their overall turnaround time from 20 business days to 45, which is crazy. So, and that I can't say you're seeing a big market surge in sports cards right now. In fact, it's going the other way with sports cards, generally speaking.
Yeah.
But you're seeing this enormous surge like we haven't ever seen before with Pokemon. So I can really only attribute those slowdowns in the grading industry to an absolute surge of Pokemon cards getting sent in for grading. And obviously a lot of that has to do with people seeing the dollar signs that come with graded Pokemon cards.
And speaking of the dollar signs, well, you can continue.
Yeah, no worries. I will say you brought up Journey Together, so this is where my maybe semi-bold prediction is going to come in for you guys. We're like you said, we've been seeing this absolutely insane market. Singles are all going up, sealed products going up. You can't find it in stores. Everything is going up in value. Singles, raw, slabbed, whatever. Everything's going up lately, and I do feel like that's only because of the popularity surge that you're seeing. When Journey Together comes out on the 28th, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's the release date.
Yep.
When Journey Together comes out, I have a gut feeling, and I predict that it's going to disappoint a lot of people. Not on the collector's side, but on the flipper's side. on the side of people that really only see dollar signs attached to Pokemon at the end of the day. Not because I think Journey Together is going to be a bad set necessarily, but look at what we got in Surging Sparks and Prismatic Evolutions and compare that to what we have coming with Journey Together. With
But wait,
Surging
we have
Sparks, we got
Iono and we have Lilies. We've got cards. They're going to be worth tons of money.
in my personal opinion, from a collector's perspective, Journey Together is a little bit underwhelming, and you're not going to see a giant price tag on the biggest card in the set, if you ask me. Which, do we even really know what that's going to be? Is that going to be Eric's Clefairy?
I don't know.
That's a playable card.
Yeah, and I
So-
know there's an SIR for it, so I would assume that's probably going to be high value, but I can't say that for sure that that's going to be the big ticket card from the set.
Yeah. There's also I didn't realize what is it? Ends Reshiram? That's going to be like
with a box
topper?
topper, yeah.
It's going to be a box topper with the booster boxes, yeah.
Yeah, which I didn't like. That's the first time Pokemon's done
Yes.
box toppers,
Yep.
right?
Digimon's been doing it, and One Piece has done it.
I asked you guys. I didn't know for sure. I thought it was the first time they did that.
It's the first time.
I
think
I
take
it
that
in
back.
Japan.
There-
The first time for English.
There was I don't remember what set it was, but there's like a Holland's Pikachu, and that was in a box. That was like a promo that came with the box. But
from like Holland Phantom?
Yeah, but it was just a metal
that's going
Pikachu.
back. Yeah,
That's all.
That was when I got out of Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway. So
That's a bold prediction. But I think you're right.
But at the end of the day, Pokemon still has that diehard, super rooted collector base that isn't going to go anywhere with Journey Together.
Correct.
They've been through countless poor sets and underwhelming sets.
Well, look, the Pokemon Center Elite Trainer box, that was gone in 2 seconds.
That didn't surprise me one bit because they put they knew what they were doing. When
Were you able to get one?
Because they put them up right at the peak of Prismatic. They knew exactly what they were doing. So
it's always crazy to me. Like the pre-order for the next set comes out like
the next day after
during
Prismatic,
the pre-release of the current set.
Right, so that's why I'm wondering, like the Destined Rivals pre-order's got to be any day now, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Probably.
Yeah, because I think once the pre-release,
good reminder.
Yeah, because pre-releases are going to happen.
Once pre-release starts, right? Yeah,
Yep.
That's probably what they'll do. But
pre-releases this weekend.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of money and stuff like that, people just looking at that stuff. So for collectors looking to protect their investments, what are some tips or best practices or pro tips? That's what I like to call them, that you'd give when submitting cards for grading, especially with the way the market has been fluctuating.
Yeah. So
or just
at the end of the day,
in general, to keep them safe.
When it comes to like keeping your cards, so do you mean keeping your slabs safe or just protecting your cards in
Both,
general?
honestly, because I'm at the point where like I have like an overflow of slabs now, and I never thought I was like, oh, I'd have like 3 or 4 Delibirds, cool. Like I have an entire like suitcase like box thing of Delibirds. Oh yeah. So all intense. When
it comes to protecting slabs. Obviously, you mentioned, like the slab suitcases. Those are really, really good for storage, and especially there's a lot of them that come with locks and stuff like that on them. So if you're worried about like literally protecting your investments, so if you've got some high value Pokemon slabs, and like rather than renting out or paying for a safety deposit box or something, you can buy slab cases that have full on really, really strong locks that can either go with a key or with a combination. There's all kinds of different stuff out there for card security. In terms of the great thing about slabs is that you don't have to worry about the cards inside them. Slabs themselves are protecting the cards forever. They're not, the elements can't even get to those cards. So as long as the slabs themselves are protected from like dropping off a ledge or off a table or getting stepped on or something like that, then you'll keep them in good shape at the end of the day.
Okay.
When it comes to raw cards, obviously, I already went over the penny sleeves and top loaders or card savers. I personally prefer top loaders, but that's because I like top loader binders. Oh, it's actually a big one I should bring up. Top loader binders are a huge, huge, huge step above regular binders. Because when you can have your cards in a top loader and then in a binder, it's way more protected than just in a sleeve and then stuck into a binder page.
I have seen
So
those,
top loader binders
I
are a
feel
good
when I'm
binder.
looking through them, like at a show, it is so like monotonous to just be like, oh,
Oh, they're big and heavy. Have
yes,
you
yeah,
seen slab binders?
yes.
You
Again,
thought the
even
top loader
those are
binders
like,
were heavy.
Oh man.
I feel like
There was
I
a
don't
guy
need to go to
I
the
saw.
gym. I just got my gains from flipping through your
Oh
PSA
yeah.
slab binder, you know?
There was a guy I saw. It was cool. Don't get me wrong. I thought it was like a really cool thing, but it was a slab binder like that. But it had instead of it having like a zipper or anything on it, it just had a handle, so you could just carry it like a giant like big long rectangle, like just going upwards. It was so funny. It was
Wow.
cool
Weird.
because you could fit a whole bunch of
Yeah.
slabs into it and then just open it up and it displays.
Yeah.
But it was just so big and bulky. I was like, what in the heck am I looking at?
All right. In your opinion, are there any singles or sets that collectors should be paying attention to, with right now?
Yeah, so when it comes to singles, like for on the Pokemon side of things, I feel like it's always way safer to just buy the fan favorites. So Pikachu's, Squirtles,
Charmander,
Commanders,
Bulbasaur,
Bulbasaur,
Meowth. Is Meowth
all
on there?
Zapdos, Meowth, all stuff like that, and the things that
Delibird?
they evolved into are just safe buys. They're much safer buys at the end of the day
Okay.
than something that doesn't have as much backing to it at the end of the day, or it doesn't maybe have as big of a fan base.
Okay.
So that's what I lean towards for singles. And as I mentioned earlier, with Crown Zenith being super high quality, at least from my experience, Galarian Gallery Crown Zenith, outside of those gold cards and the Mewtwo, isn't too expensive right now. So that would be a good buy too, is Crown Zenith, if you ask me.
Okay. That's fair. All right, and then we'll lighten the mood a little bit. If you had to pick one Pokemon card that perfectly embodies your personality, which one would it be and why?
Yeah, if I had to choose something outside of any of the Scream collabs, because I'm always internally screaming.
That's
Nah,
so
I'm
good.
joking. That's not
That's a
true.
good joke. That's a good joke. I love it. I
No,
feel that.
I have a way better one for you. I think I would. This is going to sound really odd right off the bat, but you're going to love it right afterwards. How about the Durant EX Special Illustration Rare? Because I'm a collector, and how many more Durants can you have? Just one more.
Yeah.
I
Please tell me you know what I'm talking
I
about.
I don't. Give me 1
The
second.
never-ending Durant. You don't know about this?
No.
Oh my gosh, fell
Right.
flat.
Okay.
No. Anyway, sir, if you look at the set list from Surging Sparks,
Yeah.
and you look up the Durant EX SIR, you can line them up sideways, direct,
No, that is so
and they'll
freaking
never end.
cool.
And they'll never end.
That is so cool. I have a
Yeah.
new
So,
appreciation for that. Holy crap, that's so
and
cool.
I'm surprised you guys didn't know about that. I thought for sure
No,
you knew already.
is
Holy
isn't
cow!
I
is there another like IR like just a no? That's a full
No,
art.
the whole joke is that you can take multiple copies of that same SIR and just keep putting it next to each other, so the ants never end. The trail of ants
So
never
yeah, so
ends.
you just need to
that's
have that in your
hilarious.
binder, just like the
Yeah,
3-page binder, just on each page, over and over and over.
yeah. Just Durant, never for forever and ever and ever.
But
Yeah,
just on the top,
Yeah.
so there's always ants
yeah.
on your entire binder. That's so cool. Now I got
Exactly.
to
Or
get
maybe
one.
on the bottom, because aren't ants underground at the end of the day?
Yep, and just have like
Yeah.
timbers working up top,
No.
Maybe
and
I
then
I still have a
bombardiers
blind
at the
spot
top.
for Surging Sparks. That's when I had my honeymoon, so I just completely skipped Surging Spark.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
All
Yeah,
right,
but yeah, if you see that Durant,
that's
at the end of the day, I'm a collector. How many more cards do I need? Just one more.
there's
And with
one more.
Durant's,
That's
how many more
so
can you put
cool.
on? One more.
Now I'm
Always
gonna
just
be on
one
the
more.
lookout for those. All
I think
right,
I'm gonna have to be too now that I made this joke.
all right. Let's imagine you're stuck on a desert island, and you can only bring 3 Pokemon cards to keep you company. Which, honestly, you can't eat them, so I don't know. But what are you bringing, and what makes those cards your top choices?
All right, all right. I love the desert island question. So I gotta say, quick little side note before I answer. My dad is a music theory teacher, and he
Uh-huh.
was my music theory teacher when I went to high school.
Yeah.
and he would ask us the Desert Island question, but with albums.
Nice.
I love this question so much. I just love that you even had this. I love it. So, all right, number 1, Stormfront Charizard. I'll just say it straight up because I know for a fact when I was a child, I had that card in my binder. Where it is now, God knows.
And that's the reprint, but like newish art of the old base set one.
It's the kind of like updated art of the base set.
Okay, because I remember you could play with those ones, and I was like,
Yep.
don't play with those cards. Those should be in a binder somewhere.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's the Green Wing Charizard.
Green
I
Wing
had to look it up.
Charizard. Yeah. Yep. So that's
Very
number
cool.
1. Number 2, I feel like I can't not include my favorite Pokemon, and how about so Shining Gyarados has to be in there because
Okay,
Another
but which
classic.
one? Which one is it? The gold bordered, or is it the Mega? Or
oh no, the gold border. I was thinking about like
okay.
the from the Neo era. I can't remember what set is Revelation or one of them. I can't remember.
Yeah, so Adam, the literally Shining Gyarados.
Oh, Shining Gyarados. I thought you were talking about
you were talking about
the XY one.
Cards. Yeah, about the Shining Gyarados. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, there's only one Shining Gyarados.
I thought you were talking about the shiny
it wasn't that
Gyarados from.
No.
I don't know what set it's from, but it's gold bordered. It's a gold card.
Yeah. Oh, I know what you mean. Isn't that the Delta species one?
Are you thinking of the XY one?
It's the XY
a bunch
one.
of Pokemon on it.
It's one of those Gyaradoses out there. Anyway.
Do you have the Rumble? 3. Do you have the Rumble Gyarados?
I don't. I need it. I don't. I do need the Rumble Gyarados.
I didn't even know there was a Rumble Gyarados. There's so many of these Rumble cards.
It's goofy.
It's fantastic.
It's goofy.
Yeah. Anyway, last question, or number 3, the last card I had was for Desert Island card. This one won't make sense right away because it seems kind of random, but the Entei V from the Galarian Gallery Crown Zenith. Because that was the Pokemon card, the first one that I pulled after getting back into Pokemon while working at TGA.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
That was the first big hit I pulled, and then it got a 10. So it
man,
so cool.
It introduced me to getting a 10 on a Pokemon card. So yeah, that card's got a special place for me.
All right, I love that response. All right, and outside of the grading world, what's your ultimate chase card that you'd love to have in your own personal collection, regardless of the cost or rarity, I guess?
Yeah. Okay. So we're talking like all-time dream card here.
Yes.
So
I don't even think it has to be Pokemon. If it's anything.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it could be baseball.
I have to lean into.
It could be
sports
soccer.
At that point.
It could be tennis.
Lean into sports at that point. I grew up a diehard baseball card collector and a diehard Philadelphia Phillies fan, and I know last year. I know this is a newer card, but the chances I end up with it are quite literally 1 in a billion. The last year during 2024 Topps Chrome update, when they put that update series out, they did a throwback to 2008 era Philadelphia Phillies, which is the year they won the World Series.
Yeah,
when I was an 8-year-old kid, and had Jimmy Rollins, Ryan Howard, and Chase Utley sign one card, 1 of 1 Superfractor.
Ooh.
So yeah, that would be
a rare
the one.
That is insane. That's a good choice. Good choice.
Yeah, there's only one of those out there, though, so odds I ever end up with that, quite literally, are probably like 1 in a billion.
Okay. In closing, we'll start to wrap up the show here. For the collectors who are new to the grading process, what advice would you give them to help them and make the best decision when it comes to submitting their cards?
Yeah, for sure. So,
like to get like something that's like, if they're looking at their cards, like, what how can they get an 8, 9, 10, like a better odds of getting a higher grade?
So best advice I can give the collectors is just there's a couple of things. I'd say there's like 3 main points. One is to make sure you're examining your cards properly, and you may end up needing to go out and buy some equipment to do that. It's not much. It sounds like a lot at first on the face, but investing in just a big bright LED light that you can use to get more light on your card and see as much of it as you can You can get them on Amazon for like $30. They clip onto your desk. They're not expensive. Just having a light like that makes a huge difference in noticing teeny little things you wouldn't normally notice. So that's huge. Making
Yeah,
sure you're spending time.
I have a whole personal collection of my old EXs, and I was just like using that light to look, and I'm like, whoa, these are
Oh yeah,
not as good as I thought they were.
those lights will make more of a difference than you would ever believe until you
Yeah,
actually get under
I
underneath
can
it with one.
100% agree with that.
Yep. So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing is always to make sure, like I said earlier, using the proper storage for your cards. So penny sleeves, always, card savers and top loaders, all that. Making sure you're using those, and make sure you're using penny sleeves of the proper size too, because there are different size penny sleeves. They make thick ones, penny sleeves for Yu-Gi-Oh, penny sleeves for Pokemon, all that. Make sure you're getting the right size. And the last thing, actually, I probably should have said this first. I just realized this. Is to, at the end of the day, when you're looking to submit cards for grading, study whatever grading company you're looking to submit to scale, because it's not going to be hidden. You can go on any grading company's website out in the world,
Including
look up
yours.
their grading, including TGA's. Oh yeah, ours is right there on our site. You can go out and read their grading scale and read every bit about their requirements for a card to achieve whatever grade you're trying to get to. So the more time you spend, even if it sounds goofy, but even if you just read the same description for a 9 100 times over, the fact that you've done that, you'll understand that better now than you would have if you only read it twice. So spending time with the grading scale, knowing what makes a card a 9 versus a 7 versus a 10, all that, and then applying that knowledge and that studying to while you're examining your own cards.
I love that. It's such solid advice. Solid advice right
Yeah.
there. And next question, as the head grader, what's the most rewarding part of your job, and what excites you about the future of card grading and future of TGA?
Yeah.
So I think
So
that's a good addition there.
totally, yeah. So when it comes to as the head grader, like the most rewarding thing, like obviously, I train new guys to come in and grade cards, and seeing them steadily improve and become solid graders and enjoy this community 100 times more than they did before they even before they first started. That's super rewarding in and of itself. But what's more rewarding than that, even I would say, is the coolest thing, is seeing people become regulars at these card shows where we do the live grading and we explain the reason why their cards get the grades they do, and then seeing these people's grades steadily start to get more consistent and improve as they submit through us over time. I don't want to name names, but there's a couple of people that I've seen consistently at the same card show every time I'm there. I've been seeing it for 2 years now, who when they first would submit to me would get a lot of like 7s to 7.5s. Nowadays, they're pulling easy 9s and higher every time because
That's
they've just spent
epic.
enough time with me learning, seeing what I'm seeing, learning what graders look for, and knowing what cards are better to submit than others.
Yeah, I recently saw you collab a video where you were talking about your grading, and you said like some common mistakes is that like, or some common like nuances is like you can turn the card upside down and then look
You can
at
do
it,
it.
and your brain does something different. You
Oh
explain it
yeah.
because you're the one that said it originally. I'm just spitting out.
Yep. I actually had this. I had this to bring up at some point. So yeah, a little nuance to when you're examining your cards, especially if you're doing this with a light on hand, is think about the way you're used to looking at a card. At the end of the day, the way you typically look at any kind of card, right side up, right? You're not going to look at a card upside down. Normally, you just wouldn't do that. Your brain's going to see something wrong with that. The card's upside down. So when you're examining your cards under the light or even under a magnifier or whatever, if you turn it upside down and just reverse the orientation of the card as you're looking at it, it makes seeing little tiny things that your brain would actually normally correct when looking at it right side up becomes 100 times easier. Say there's a tiny little nick on one of the edges. If you just look at it right side up the whole time, your brain's so used to seeing that card that way that it might just ignore that little nick on the edge. But if you turn it upside down while you're looking at it, and then look in the same spot, your brain's not used to seeing the card that way. So then it's that nick in the edge is going to stick out 10 times more than it would have if you're looking at it right
that's
side
so
up.
cool. I love that tip. I've used that ever since I heard that. I started doing that. I'm like, not going to submit that. Not going to submit
told
that.
Me that like
Oh yeah,
2 weeks ago, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!"
Right away when you turn them over like that.
Yeah, I told Justin.
So if you're listening, surely you have cards nearby. Flip your card upside down and just look at it. It makes a difference. It's wild.
Oh yeah, just at the end. Yeah, seriously, if you're listening at home, I challenge you: grab a card, turn it over, and then tell me how many different things you're seeing now that you didn't see just 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, not backwards. Like you're not looking at the blue Pokemon side. You're looking at the card upside down, as if you put it in the binder incorrectly.
Exactly.
I feel like I have to cut Adam off, or Adam will just talk to you for 10 hours. So,
no worries.
Is there anything else you would like to talk about, bring up? I know we've already talked to you for an hour and a half at this point. So,
no, I'd say that was. I'd say it covered most of it. Yeah, I'd say I was just going right off my notes here, so I'd say we covered pretty much everything I wanted to go over.
Oh, great, and I appreciate that you made notes. You're like, I got to do my homework before this.
Oh, of course, yeah. No, I mean, even just the fact that you guys had like a loose script is just so much better than just going in blind, you know.
Yeah,
I know Justin's cutting me off, but I got a submission back, so I just want to do one.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to do one. We're gonna rip.
Yep.
All right.
If I can get this out of here. There we go. I got it. Gosh, this is gonna take forever here. All right. And Justin gets to pick. Primary grader this time was Chad. The head grader was Garrett. Whoa, let's go. I know that guy. He's right here with me.
I had no idea.
Okay, so I submitted Ancient Mew and Mew from, I don't know. It's the Japanese version. That's all I know. Mm-hmm. But it's the one where it's got a lot of Pokemon. So, Justin, really quick, which one? Which one do we peel to reveal?
I mean, I have to go Ancient Mew because it's very nostalgic to me. I, like Adam, am old, so I saw that movie in theaters.
Ancient Mew is the card everybody traded for their base set Charizard.
Yeah, exactly.
And TGA also does something really cool, and it's probably my favorite thing that they do, is they do these peel to reveal labels. It's like a 25-cent extra charge, but holy cow, you can just pull out. Yeah,
we didn't even talk about that.
You can pull these out.
Favorite thing about this.
Yeah, you can pull these out of your submission, and you're just like, I don't need to worry about who's going to see what. Like, I can do it when on my own terms. And yeah, so Ancient Mew, we're going to peel to reveal.
Let's see.
All right, Adam. What's it going to be?
I don't know. It's old, and I just assume it's like an 8. That's what I assume.
I honestly don't remember. I'm not going to lie. I do not remember.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm not going to grill you.
I'm going to guess 9.
All right, let's see what we did. Hey,
it's an 8. Guess. Is it an 8? It's an 8.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's an 8. Oh. I think the last one I did was also an 8. Like, I mean, they're old. It's hard. I know that
when so hard to get good grades on.
They are, and I'm not gonna lie. When I looked at it, you know, I cut it right from the promo pack, and I was like, oh, there's like a little. It's not even whitening. It's just like there's something on there on the back, but it's like on the card itself. So
yeah.
But hey, I'm okay with that. I like it, and I sold this, and I was so sad. I was like, wait a minute, I want that back.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy to have another one in my collection.
Yeah, love it.
And stay tuned to our socials because I will be posting the other one on there. So be on the lookout for that. And then, Garrett, thank you so much for joining us. I typically at the end of the podcast, I always say, give a shout out. This episode of Special Conditions Podcast is brought to you by the Grading Authority. TGA offers an innovative card grading experience with a focus on collectors and community. Visit tgacards.com to learn more, and be sure to check out their slab designer and Pokemon flow labels to see for yourself what makes Pokemon Professor Network proud to be a TGA partner. Use code FULLHEAL for 10% off your entire order. tell them Adam and Justin sent you, and say hello to Garrett. Send him a note. Say, hey, I'm not trying to bribe you, but this is a good Pokemon.
Your bribes won't work anyway.
Yes, they won't work. I should never have said that, but.
Did you notice I was wearing the shirt?
Oh, I did notice that. I love that. Yeah. I love that.
All right. Do you have any other questions or anything for us?
Nope. No. Do you use Twitter or anything if anyone wanted to follow up with you, or just,
TGA,
your cards?
On social media, we're TGA Cards on pretty much everything. TGA Cards on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We're on Facebook too, and I know we're also on YouTube as well.
And you guys are posting all the time, like all the cards that go through. Sometimes I see my cards, I'm like, ooh, I get all excited. I'm like, that's mine. I know it is.
And hey, if you do see us post your cards on any of our social media, share your submissions on your social media, and we will reshare it. I monitor all that. I see all that stuff.
Nice.
Okay, that you wear a lot of hats then. That's pretty sweet.
I get my feet wet and everything.
And just before we go, we just want to give a huge shout out to our executive producer, Trainer Mystic. We appreciate you supporting the show so much. It means a lot. And if you have any questions, if you want to contact us, specialconditions@pokemonprofessor.com. You can leave us a voicemail, text us, send us a picture, 732-835-8639. And if that's a show, that's a show. But remember, trainers, if you're affected by a special condition, don't forget to use a full heal. Adios.